NAC is back. NAC is back.
We're back, but Chevy's blurry, He's not
What happened here?
We got a blurry Chevy on the menu today, Markets are down. He can't afford that internet access anymore.
Nope. Fiber internet's gone.
The fiber internet's gone. It's a tariff. The internet was coming from China. 100% more expensive.
Chevy, can you hear us over there? Hello.
What's up, guys? We're back. Just a little blurry today. It's not good. I don't know what happened here. I was literally just fine a second ago.
Yeah. Well,
we
are where we are.
The market's crashing. My camera setup is crashing. It's all part of the plan. What can I tell you guys?
It's all part of the plan.
Where do we start today?
Lucas is on mute. Can't even hear him.
It's amateur hour out here.
It's a rough start.
It's a rough start. This is what happens. When the boys take a week off. This is what happens. We didn't get a rep in, but we're right back in. We're trying to get back into it, and but I believe in us. I believe in us in this moment right here. We're back.
Well, I'll take responsibility for the week off. There was a last minute impromptu send down to Austin. But, the good part about that is that me and Lucas got some great IRL time in together. Isn't that right, Lucas? Yeah. And his mic's still not working.
Yep.
He's muted. He's unmuted.
We gotta start this one over. Something happened with Lucas's mic and my camera the second you hit record.
All right. From the top. Shut it down.
NAC is back. Take two. Lucas's mic is working.
David, what's so funny right now?
Nothing. It's between Cooper and I,
Just diabolical plan.
when you're running a startup, there's points where you got plan A, you got plan B, plan C. And sometimes some of those plans are like a little outlandish, but it's about having those moments where you believe in that outlandish plan, and then you end up at plan B or plan C, which ends up working. But it's all got to start somewhere. It's all got to start somewhere. You gotta keep believing in yourself.
That's the optimism we need on a day like today.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
It is. You go to the next one. You got the next plan. Keep believing. Keep trying.
I think Will Smith said something on having a plan B. Let's see.
Did he really? Pull that up, Chevy.
Let's
pull up Will Smith's quote on
There's
plan
no
B.
reason to have a plan B because it distracts from your plan A.
I disagree with Will Smith.
Yeah. Under goals, inspiration, plans, and success.
I'm with Chevy on this one. We got an even split across the room here.
Well, it really depends how you look at plan A's and plan B's and plan C's. Because I think there's a difference between having plan A and then saying plan A no longer works and moving to plan B.
I don't know. This guy's a guy who seems like
he knows what he's talking about.
He hasn't had a plan B in a minute.
Have you guys seen Will Smith freestyle?
He's pretty good.
He's probably pretty good.
Good. Yeah.
It's pretty good.
I was about to say, what do you think Will Smith's plan B was for his wife? That is.
Oh, please. Soup.
For the what?
Come on, man.
You have a plan B for your spouse? That's crazy.
Brother.
Yeah.
He had a rough go. He did have a rough go.
Do we all watch White Lotus here?
No, I don't, but you can talk freely about it.
It's really good content for this crypto founder podcast.
Yeah, it's great. It's great content. It's exactly on the. I just thought season 3 sucked. That's just what season 3 was not nearly as good as 1 and 2. And I think if it wasn't called White Lotus, I think most people would have stopped watching after episode 4. It's my really important take here on our product and tokens podcast.
That's right.
But speaking of White Lotus, Lucas, what should we be talking about? What's on the agenda?
Definitely not White Lotus. I'll tell you that much. That was not on the agenda.
Well, here's a good pivot. Ready for this transition? Ready?
Yeah.
Somebody dies every season, from what I learned in White Lotus. This season's death is the market. Dun, dun, dun. Transition into the market. We are absolutely
Cut that out. Chat.
That was pretty good. That was pretty good. That was pretty good. was pretty good. I like that. People have jokes today.
You know what?
I think we just do jokes and White Lotus today.
You know what?
No content.
I don't know about you guys, but I'm bleeding. My portfolio has more than halved. And I'm regretting certain life decisions right now. And it hurts. I'm in pain. But we keep going, right?
We keep
Isn't
going.
that what they say?
We keep going.
And we just smile and wave and just keep bleeding out till we're like a raisin kind of thing. Isn't that what it comes down to?
Yep. That's what it's about.
You know who's still going? You want to know who's still going?
Oh, Matt Huang.
Big
V. Big V's still going.
Big V's still going. Big.
Oh my god.
Still going.
This is good content right here for the pod.
Big sassy V.
Oh man, that guy. When ETH goes down, V gets crazy.
I was still going, and what I thought you were going to say is pods crossing 1 million minutes. I did not expect you to pull up a fake video of Vitalik at a strip club, but
no one. I don't think it was a strip club. I think it was just a normal club.
Let's steer it back here. Let's steer it back.
That just looks like another night. That just looks like another night in Miami.
That's DEF CON right there.
Yeah.
Steer it back. Steer it back.
Right,
Lucas,
let's bring it back.
Hey, 1 million
This is what's
mints on
actually still going.
pods.
1 million mints on the old podcast NFTs. Nobody believed it, but it's happening.
I like that Lucas doesn't even follow his own account.
What do you mean I don't follow my own account?
You don't even follow pods. Look at the pod, right?
No, that was Twitter. That was Twitter. For the fucking record, Jesus Christ, you had me.
Everyone saw
there.
that though. Everyone saw that though. It was glitching.
Man,
it said follow back.
That was not. I didn't click follow. I've been following it. I swear to God.
Weird. It's working now. So weird.
I swear to God, I'm not trolling. It actually said follow back.
It said follow back. It did say follow back.
I don't know why. Anyways, I do follow pods.
It's the tariffs.
I swear to God.
Tariffs.
Million mints on pods.
Pretty big.
Speech.
That's huge.
Speech.
What I will say is we started this we launched in November 23. Shit market. Fast forward 2 years. Shit market still. And we still pushed out 1 million mints. Thank you to all the creators here. Chevy, I know you're a big part of that. Coop, I know you've been around. David, you're on the podcast.
You've been around. I just caught a stray for sure. Chevy, you've been a big part of that. Coop, you've been around. Oh, there goes Lucas's mic changing again. Halfway through the episode. Right on his 1 million mints speech.
1 million mints for Lucas.
Like,
and he's out of here.
You played a big part of that. Coop, you've been around. David doesn't say anything.
Lucas, real talk. How are you feeling about a milli?
Yeah, I'll just pick up where he left off. I mean, for me, a million mints is a very, very strong achievement. I'm really happy for you, Lucas. Specifically, I'm happy for Agent Chevy, who played a very big role in those mints. For me, I'm glad that I've been around. And David, you can go to hell.
I'm here to hang out. I'm going to pick up where Lucas left off this time. I would say what makes this so impressive. What makes this so impressive is like people are going to be like, "Oh my God, how did Lucas get 1 million mints on pods?" And there's probably a lot of great things he did, but the number one thing he did, he kept showing up every single day, even when the mic goes in and out. He's going to come back, and that's why. Why
he doesn't need to have a voice on this podcast as long as it's actually on chain. He's played his part.
Yep.
I think another thing. Let's look at the numbers at hand. 1,535,000. So we're past 1 million now. Pretty big.
A milli.
Very astute reporting. Thank you for that, Chevy.
You're welcome. There's more where that came from. 588 ETH in primary sales.
I mean, there was a time where I would have, said that that's probably worth around like 2 million, a little more, but not anymore.
It's pretty good. 2.5K episodes, 142,000 unique minters. Pretty freaking great. Congrats to the pods team. Congrats, Lucas.
What's that over there in the top right? Is that the Invest in Music podcast there? What? Oh, wow. It's not bad.
Weekly USD volume per episode. Yeah, where's the Mint podcast on this? Oh, there it is.
Yeah, look at that show volume right there. On the left, let's go to that
Pretty
one
good.
right there, Lucas. Let's go on that. Oh, what? Episode breakdown. Number 2 most minted episode on pods.
Oh my God.
Oh, number 3, Mint podcast, going viral on chain. Adam, who was on that podcast?
It seems to be you and I. Seems to be
Pods,
you
show
and I.
volume contribution. What's that number 3 right there? Coop Records podcast. Oh,
Would you look at that?
suspicious. For someone who just happened to be around, you know?
Yep.
Lucas,
I
how
played
does the
my
team
part.
feel? How does the team feel about this?
Team is feeling good, I think, as a whole. Definitely not seeing it in the venture market or like that, level of demand or interest from investors. But I think as a whole, we're focused on revenue bootstrapping, all of that. So we're just dialed in, trying to improve the product. And I think right now our big focus is starting to branch out to the Web 2 or the maybe people that are starting to dip their toes in the crypto ecosystem. So doing privy wallets, embedded wallets, email sign-in, having better tooling for creators that's more intuitive. Discovery is obviously really lacking right now on the Pods homepage. So those are kind of the 3 areas that we're just focusing on right now. And hopefully the culmination of those 3 things will get us to a really solid like Pods V1 is what we're calling it, that we feel like really comfortable onboarding, the next wave of creators.
Love that. Love that. Love that. I'm so excited to see podcasts being proliferated and more podcasters on chain. It's really great. It's really great. One step at a time.
Hey, Lucas, why don't you and I chat about our week in Austin? I thought that was pretty fun.
It was a nice week, honestly. We had a nice little week. It was a little bit last minute, Coop. But you flew in. Break it down. Break it down what happened. How'd you end up in Austin, Texas?
Monday night, I get the text from my dear roommate, Daniel Allen. He says, I got a show in Austin on Thursday. You want to come? I start poking around and I go, who's in Austin that I could hang out with? Lo and behold, my friend Lucas happens to be in Austin. So it becomes a no-brainer at that point. I get a ticket, fly on down there, meet up with Lucas at his favorite spot, Loro, Asian Fusion Barbecue. Absolutely fantastic spot. Head over to the Daniel Allen show. And I mean, it was just a movie. That's all I can say.
It was crazy. We were on
That's all
stage
I can say.
Going crazy.
What do you think about the show, Lucas? Give us give me the perspective of someone who's been to a Daniel Allen show 3 years ago to today. What's changed?
The crowd is about 1,000x bigger.
Wow.
Which is a good signal. But yeah, I think over the years I've seen Daniel play maybe close to a dozen times, at least a half dozen at this point. And I think he's just getting more and more comfortable on stage in bigger and bigger crowds. And I really respect his ability to work in some classic bangers, but also, showcase his music in his unique style. So, been bullish Daniel Allen since I met him, continue to be bullish. And that show is just a testament that he's on the right track and he's just going through the process.
That's what I like to hear. That's what I like to hear. The cheat
wanna
code
see
for any
Thank
DJs
you.
listening is Icona Pop. You play that song. I love it. I felt my feeling from the summer days when you were gone.
Can't go wrong with that.
That's the
That was
intro.
amazing
Cheat code.
singing, Cooper.
Why doesn't Daniel post on chain anymore? I want
do you mean?
I want to collect his music still. Why did it stop?
I mean, all his music's on chain.
All of it? He hasn't created any new singles?
Yeah,
New
all of his
projects?
new songs are on there. But he just doesn't do like the curated, custom projects like he used to before.
They're all on Coop Records.
And
Lovely.
are these on Sound or Coop Rex or on both?
He hasn't put out any new music since the protocol got launched. So all of those songs are currently on Sound,
Love it.
including some OGs. But I will say we tested out some new records in Austin that were fresh off the USB, and it's pretty good.
I mean, I thought the energy was great. I talked to some random guy in the crowd, and and he was super stoked. Had no idea who Daniel was there for Bunt or the opener or the headliner, and he was just gassing up Daniel. He was like, this guy's got it. He was like, this guy's layering on all the right music, really giving them props. So, I was doing some surveying in the crowds, Coop, just seeing what the vibe was.
I did not pay him to say that, by the way.
No,
for the record.
He had no idea. I didn't mention anything. We were just chit chatting about the set going on, and great time.
Honestly, for me, it was a great weekend on the road. We hit Austin, we hit Dallas. We saw MPH in Dallas on Friday night. We went to Breakaway on Saturday. Saw Daniel Allen play a set, Shipwreck, a bunch of Coop Rex artists. And honestly, the best part was being away from the market. I got to be 100 with you guys, I'm going on Twitter. It's doom and gloom. Everything's down 10%. China's tanking. US is tanking. And this music, it's quite the solace, All artists are broke. So, they're already used to that for quite a long time. Yeah. They don't care about the tariffs. And honestly, it's a nice foundation,
Mm.
I feel for you, Chevy. What you said earlier, you said, yeah, I feel like I'm like a raisin getting squeezed because my portfolio's in half. I have no doubts my portfolio's in half, but I just haven't looked at it. And to be honest with you, probably won't anytime soon.
It's pretty much what I've been doing.
Yeah, I'm just I haven't looked.
Not worth it.
I don't plan on looking.
I don't have any leverage. I'm all good. Just hold through the storm.
If anything, for me, one of the silver linings is that the crash in the price of crypto is largely correlated to a crash in the world economy, and not because like something in crypto is breaking or tanking or there's like an FTX crisis. So that's one silver lining for me. The other thing I think is that there's going to be a lot of adoption of like stablecoins this year, specifically in the US. And I think just in general, we're just seeing the stablecoin meta become so much more popular and a lot of funding going into it. So I think that's a really positive case for all of us here in terms of building consumer apps and kind of moving away from this like crypto first product experience, buying in ETH and SOL and all these things, to buying in dollars. And I think if anything, a super big volatile swing like this makes us all take that a little bit more seriously. So I remain optimistic.
No, yeah, I think the stablecoin stuff is really interesting because we've been definitely looking at that more seriously at pods. And I think one of the interesting things for me is like, if you have email-based login and dollar-based earnings, you can pretty much abstract away the crypto piece pretty well. Mm-hmm. And it really does feel like just a normal Web 2 application if you can get that UI UX right and with dollar earnings. Because I think one of the immediate things that I realize is like, if I talk to a normal Web 2 podcast, they're all on board with it. And then you say, hey, you're going to be earning ETH. And then they're like, oh, what's ETH? Or like, they might not be familiar with it. Like the joke, some Bitcoin or podcast people are Bitcoiners, so they don't like it. So I think just going to dollar-based earnings and abstracting away like the volatility aspect and all the bullshit that comes with it, I think is maybe the right move, or likely the right move for a lot of consumer applications and going to stablecoins.
We should give credit where credit is due for this thinking. I think the first person who actually talked about doing this and did it was Alex Mazmaj, I think with one of his versions of Dracula. If I recall correctly, he was the first one that teased the idea, at least for me hearing this, of like, dude, we should do things in USDC if we want to bring the masses. And then everybody was like, no, keep it in ETH because you're building for ETH users. And like, they just want to get paid out in ETH. And I feel like at this point, we're like playing like ping pong with this idea of like what's better to show features in a native arcade token or in a currency that people are familiar with, because frankly, all the people that are driving all of our revenue and all of our transactions are playing in the arcade token. And a lot of us are kind of hoping that liquidity ends up reflecting on the normal users. So for me, it's still not super clear, super obvious that it needs to be abstracted. Maybe the happy middle ground is like what Clout did, and how they kind of abstracted the UI to show the dollar value of the underlying token, despite it fluctuating. I think that's like the closest thing that we got to normalizing the UI, but I still don't agree like full USDC approach. Not that I don't agree. I think there's merit in it. I'm just not convinced if that's...
I would say over this past weekend should be a testament of like, if you had normal Web 2 creators earning an ETH and then their earnings got halved before they sold it, they're going to be
a lot of my artists for what it's worth.
Yeah, but then the second the market is up, you could say this is a testament to showing and defending that you get.
Or you could just say get dollars and then do what you want with the dollars because they're already on chain. And I think
there's merit in that too, for sure.
Chevy, maybe to like your point is the liquidity is in ETH. I agree.
Yeah.
But I think you can get pretty far with the model of incentivizing the mint in USDC anyways, and then rewarding in a token.
Is anyone going to try that this week? I might try
Not
it.
this week.
I can't mint in USDC in a week, but yeah.
Well, I'll say two things. One is that for all of our bigger label partners, we actually sell ETH at the end of every month and then off ramp to a bank account for them. And so they just get dollars at the end of every month. They don't have to hold any ETH on their balance sheet. And moving forward, we're actually going to be doing the credits approach that Rodeo has been doing. And I actually believe that Zora might have moved to a credits model too. But when you come in, you sign up for an email, you're basically just topping up with credits. And the credits are what you transact in, not USDC. But I do think by the end of this calendar year, all the songs on Cooprex will be priced in dollars and transacting using stablecoins under the hood. And I think the focus is basically how do you let someone pay with ETH and then it just swaps it into USDC automatically. Because the friction for crypto natives is that if you have to have USDC in your wallet, that's where you see a huge drop off. But if you don't need to have USDC in your wallet and it ends up settling in USDC, I think that that's actually kind of the ideal state.
So
the big piece there.
my question is, we could talk about stable coins. A lot of people on Twitter have been talking about stable coins and how we're going to integrate this into our products. And that's obviously a worthwhile discussion. But I think the more controversial part of the discussion is like, it's 2025. Is it a failure on Ethereum or cryptocurrency as a whole that it hasn't been able to achieve a state as an actual currency?
No.
Why not?
Well, because I think that we're talking about different things. Like it is a currency on the network, right? You still need ETH to be able to like use the network, but I think that's different from using it as like a transactional currency for real world use cases. Like if you look at all these other chains, like Tether is actually far more used across like global payments of crypto in general than any other coin. And I actually don't think that was ever the intention for like ETH to be what you buy coffee with or Bitcoin to be what you buy pizza with or something like that. So it just feels kind of like the natural progression.
I think that's I agree with everything you said, but I do think that 2021 and pre-2021, if you told people by 2025 that we'd be at a point where like everybody only wants to use stable coins and we're not going to think of ETH or Bitcoin as a means of currency, especially Bitcoin, where like the whole thesis was, the original thesis of Bitcoin was digital cash. I think there would be a little bit of a sense of failure if you were to go back in time and talk to those people. And I don't mean failure in the sense that I agree, like these things are still currency on the network. I think Bitcoin, the digital gold thesis holds strong. But I think if you go back to that era and really think about like how people were thinking about these assets.
Yeah, let's go back to that era, David. Let's go back to when we were thinking of pricing our lives in ETH and what we were spending our money on. That was definitely a way more realistic and rational time in the world, huh?
In some ways it was a more rational time in the world, but we can talk about that slowly.
One ETH. It's only one ETH. And then you just insert the blank with something that you absolutely do not need in your life. I'll speak for myself personally, at least. Maybe not for you. It's only one ETH. Buy whatever you want.
I think that was like a little overly optimistic, but the fact that these currencies still are so volatile is like I think that's the underlying thing I'm pointing out here. Is like the fact that there's such big swings on these still, and the fact that because of those swings, am I freezing? That because of those swings, we're also attracted to stable coins. And I have an article from 2017 where I was very bullish stable coins. But I think we also have to ask ourselves, why aren't these currencies more stable at this point?
They'll never be stable. What do you mean?
Yeah. I don't know if I agree with you on that one, Devin.
Guys, the euro, the yen, like these are way more stable currencies than any cryptocurrency. And if you like go back to how people were thinking about cryptocurrencies and their predictions for 2025, there were definitely people predicting that the volatility in a cryptocurrency would not be as high as it is now. That's all I'm saying.
Okay.
But
Point
then
taken.
those same people were saying the currencies were correlated to traditional markets and the arbitrage like no longer existed.
Mhm.
So I don't know if I fully agree with
I
that.
also think those people would have thought ETH would be above $1,500 right now. So
I think I agree with that. Yes. Yes.
Speaking of ETH being above $1,500, pull up that CryptoPunks tweet. As someone who bought the bottom on Punks and thought I was a genius, this was a very humbling tweet to read. But I actually thought it was very funny. Should I read it?
Yes.
But you bought the bottom, Coop. In a
If you
stable,
bought a CryptoPunk a month ago, you're currently up 4 ETH. If you bought a CryptoPunk a month ago, you're currently down $20,000. Up in ETH, down in dollars, baby.
Pretty good.
that's the natural state of things right there.
I mean, I think we talked about this though. I tweeted some stuff about this last week, but I just don't think that there's like a cultural resonance with crypto right now. I think that there's just like a really big gap in between like a regular person's desire to own crypto and like what's happening.
Time out. December, we were watching Thread Guy with Aiden Ross shill crypto.
No, I'm saying today.
Yeah, I get that today, but that's what is that a function of? Like markets nuking?
I think it's a function of markets nuking. I think it's a function of meme coin mania not getting into mainstream culture as much as everybody thought it was.
Mhm.
I will say I was in a pitch on Thursday with somebody who like knows about crypto, but they're not a crypto investor. And the feedback I got after the pitch was basically to like take the crypto slides out and just like talk about your product and all the stuff that you're building, and that crypto has kind of like a bad taste right now. And to just like, they were like, if people ask you questions about it, definitely like answer those questions honestly, but it doesn't seem central to your product or story right now with everything you're doing. It's just a payment mechanism. That was the feedback I got.
It's not selling investors right now, right?
Yeah, Ted had a really good post on this, a really good cast on this, I should say. Let me see if I can find it here really quick. But it was basically just like the idea of the perception of crypto to normal people, and just what I've also experienced myself, which is just like people just don't think about it, they don't care about it. Like there's this belief within crypto that people have like a very strong negative stigma towards it, and if push comes to shove, it's definitely more negative than positive. But I think that the reality is that people just don't have any opinion on it because they just don't care about it.
Yep.
And I think that's kind of the bigger issue that I'm trying to point out is like when NFTs were mooning, people cared about it and it had like cultural resonance. But even post like meme coin shit, I just don't think people care about crypto, and there's cooler stuff happening in the world right now.
So clear to me, like what's happening here, and it's just a function of price. Meme coins go up, people care about it. NFTs go up, people care about it. They go down, people lose interest, and it's just like, to me, it's nothing new. Like I feel like we see this cycle over and over and over again. We've all been in crypto for 7-8 years now. And it's like I just don't see this being anything new. And now we're just in this lull or like slower period where we're waiting for that next viral application or viral use case to drive more interest.
I think it's different because I don't know what to go to that Aiden Ross video. Like the president launched a meme coin. Like what's we've already experimented with DAOs. We've done NFTs.
Like, where does this go is hopefully like one day, like actual fucking use cases that are stable and growing and not just crazy meme coins, that go to $40 billion and then crash 90%. Like I would love to see a future of crypto that has sustainable use cases that consumers are adopting because it brings value to them. And I know we've been saying that for a decade now, but like
to bring it back, Lucas, I think to your point, which is maybe like you just said it in a better way than what I was trying to get at. I think I was trying to I was making it too much comparing it directly to stable coins. But if the underlying currencies of these economies are like extremely volatile a decade in, it's hard for people. And, Cooper can't, we have to cash out, once a month to make sure that it's like staying in USD, and nobody wants to touch actual ETH or Bitcoin. There's a challenge there that we haven't solved.
But I think the challenge right now is your perception of what these assets are and their store of values right now. And they'll continue to grow into that over time. And their medium of exchange is still a stable coin or a fiat currency, something that is a little bit more stable. Granted, fiat, I think, is actually more volatile than people think, and ultimately just go down only over time. But you don't really see that volatility on a day to day. Anyways, I know I'm going.
Here's the cast I wanted to bring up. Long read, personal point of view. Work with brands for years. Painfully aware of how bad crypto's brand is. If you're thinking only .xyz is cringe, hate to break it to you, most people, there's no difference between ETH, Solar based them. It's all just crypto. No amount of man on the street TikTok is going to change that. Been in crypto since 2018. Most consistent thing that turns skeptics into believers is trusted humans. People change their mind when someone they trust shows them something they care about. Maybe I'm wrong, but still think the best way forward is what worked for other networks, good humans onboarding other good humans. And I really agree with this point because it's kind of what I've noticed in my work, which is that everyone will have a negative perception on something until they meet someone who makes them think otherwise, whether that's like a fan, whether that's like an artist or something like that. But I don't know. For me, I feel like it's been a very interesting learning that you can only try and explain crypto so much. At a certain point, you got to just like find people who you trust that are going to give you a positive experience and probably not rely on like the trading aspect of much of it as much as it is like the human aspect of it.
I want to question you guys and like why you're still here after 8 years and what got you to stay. Because I think that is like ultimately the same mechanism that will get everyone else over time, but it just takes a longer process. Like you didn't stay because of ICOs, right? You stayed for some other reason. You didn't stay because of NFTs. You stayed for another reason. And I think people just need to find that reason or learn about that reason, right?
Yeah. I mean, I think, I know we've been talking on this point for a minute, so we can change in a second, but it's just been harder for me to relate to crypto people these days. And I think if it's all about the humans, I think the challenge has been that the people that are in crypto being the stewards of this culture to onboard new people, I think there's like far and in between a lot of people who know how to talk to real people. I think most of the people that are in crypto have been here for a long enough time that it feels like it's this in-crowd niche. And I think that we need more people who are willing to go out and, you know, take the hard feedback that what you're working on probably isn't that relatable to people and find ways to actually tap in with bigger networks and bigger creators. And I don't know, that's the big thing that I'm just advocating for here is like less of trying to spawn crypto native culture that goes to the mainstream and more of being able to build crypto rails around culture that already exists in an attempt to bring people into this world that way instead.
100%. I agree with that. And I think one person that's doing a great job of bringing in bigger creators here is Adam with Blueprint, who just finished cohort 2. Adam, what's going on with cohort 2 here?
Hey.
We wrapped up cohort 2, baby. 173 ETH in primary sales. 31,000 unique collectors. How much content did we mint? 656,000 pieces of content minted.
120?
Hot.
Wow.
Over 120 drops or so. Over 120 drops. Pretty good cohort. But
35K in rewards.
We're issuing a surprise pool to our collectors of $35,000 based off the badges that they earned.
Let's go.
Really cool.
Too. And we were 10 ETH away from surpassing cohort 1's performance. So we didn't quite make the cut, but still nonetheless super proud. We also shipped a bunch of new features to the site on how to manage your badges, and we're going to be implementing a bunch of new UI changes in the coming days that we're going to push soon. They're on staging. But long story short, we had a great season, great cohort. Our longest cohort to date, roughly 3 months, a little over 3 months. A lot of lessons learned, a lot of zigzags. One of them being Zora being a core partner in bringing Blueprint to life. Kind of just discontinued NFTs, the native token format that we've been leveraging to help creators publish content and distribution for their mints. They changed the ERC20, so we had to pivot and run a bunch of experiments to help creators cross the 10 ETH club threshold. So every creator hit the 10 ETH club, thankfully. And I'm really happy with this cohort. Our Discord grew significantly. We're about to cross 30,000 members. Our creators earned collectively 33,000 followers on Warpcast, and they've been more active on Warpcast. We saw creators during the cohort get their own grants and run their own incentivized mints. as they were spending our incentives as well, which was really, really cool. And to see the curriculum kind of play out to fruition in real time was really rewarding for us. So I was really happy with this cohort personally. Will was very happy on our team. And shout out to Pods, shout out to Zora, Bonsai, Guild, and Layer 3 for helping make this cohort a reality. And we got more coming. We're now officially in the off season, and we're going to distribute the $35,000 relatively soon. We're just doing our final tallies.
What was your biggest learning of cohort 2?
It was a mission to spend 30 grand per creator. It was really hard to do that. Like it was really, really hard, honestly. And we had to extend the timeline from 4 to 5 weeks to 10 plus weeks because we were just forced to use certain mint prices and mint formats. And even if we downsized the budget per creator, it still didn't mint out completely the way we wanted to. And we got feedback from some collector fatigue, and we're still trying to find like that equilibrium. But I like, there wasn't necessarily a core insight, more so just accumulating more information on how to approach cohort 3. The other thing also comes from, it's really just Will and I full time running Blueprint. And we've been using a lot of AI internally to try to automate things that we're doing. And when it comes to certain operations, or when it comes to like just certain tasks for messaging and whatnot. So a lot of what we learned is like the things that are our core bottlenecks that prevented us from maybe hitting the 10 ETH threshold, for example, or slowed us down in certain areas, and how we could optimize our time for cohort 3. And also, I think the biggest one was just like having a better grasp around what incentives are and what does it mean to create an incentive and to reward collectors. We're still experimenting and learning more about that, so I don't want to share too much around that just yet, but definitely understanding the incentive side and how the incentive is the core product and how to build a better product, essentially. Like, how do you talk to users to understand the types of incentives that they like, and how do you build better incentives? How do you create better incentives or offer better incentives for your users, which was another kind of a big insight. But no grand scheme aha. It just kind of reiterates what we thought we already knew and just adds more fuel to the fire.
What should we be looking for in cohort 3? Anything exciting, or are you just taking the next few months to go back to the cohort?
We're thinking of opening up the applications for cohort 3 very soon, just to let it go on a rolling basis as we kind of like figure out the off season and finish all the admin stuff related to cohort 2, and also release some new features on the site. A lot of our focus is going to be looking for video content, like more video content. Collectors really like the video content. It's more engaging and more fun to consume. So the creators that we encourage apply for cohort 3 are video creators and those who have video content related to their craft. Like, you could be a digital artist, but if you do like really cool video content on how you create your pieces, for example, that's really engaging and really entertaining. Also, the more social credibility you have, the more exciting it's going to be for us. So for example, some of our creators ended up just doing really well on Twitter, for example. Like, a lot of their content ended up going viral on Twitter even prior to Blueprint. And we could come in with our support to scale what they're doing on chain. And we really love that because that brings in a lot of organic activity and allows us to further validate some of the tests that we're running. So that's kind of like the call to action over here for new creators that are listening. Like, if you're a video creator or you create video content around your stuff, then keep an eye out for the applications. Yep.
I want to give a big +1 to your badges and the rewards to people who have earned those badges. I think that that's pretty unique. And I think that it's a good way of getting people to earn something on top, you know, icing on the cake, cherry on top, whatever you want to call it. But I feel like you've done a really good job of leaning into that. And I think a big reason why you've seen so much collective and successful mints on a recurring basis is because of your ability to kind of keep going back and rewarding that consistent activity. So something that I'm inspired by a lot. And I really like what you said, where it was the incentive is the product. I think that that's a really powerful way of putting it. So I'm really excited to see what else you guys have in store too.
Thank you,
Yeah.
sir.
I want to give you props because it's, as you said, only you and Will right now. And I feel like you guys are very much punching above your weight. I think the BP platform is really solid. It's really intuitive. I think you guys have done a lot there. Props to you guys for kind of like accelerating and exceeding expectations for just being a 2-man team.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Thanks, guys. Thank you. Thank you.
It's hard as fuck. I think we all know
really
that.
hard.
Hard as
It's
fuck.
really hard.
So
It's really hard. From a founder's point of view, I cut my salary in Q4 of 2024. So for me, it's really, I'm sure for all of us, we've talked about this in other episodes. It's like trying to stay as lean as possible and trying to survive as long as we can, and reduce burn as much as we can. We had our best quarter yet since Bellows Incorporation in September of 2023, and since we pivoted to Blueprint, in terms of volume, in terms of number of users. And I'm really happy about that. And I don't know how long it is for me to do this sustainably without like getting proper salary and funding myself, especially as the market's tanking, and using Mint Podcast reserves as a way to just like, fund my life in that regard. But I do think, I do think from a company standpoint, like we're getting closer to whatever it is that we need to be at. And it feels good. I'll tell you that much. Like it feels good. I feel like Will has really stepped up his game. So shout out Will if you're listening to this. And we're slowly but surely like figuring out our shit. I'm also being very self-critical because other people could say we figured stuff out. I think there's always room for improvement. But yeah.
what does success look like in cohort 3? Bigger creators, more volume? What's like the key thing?
I think I don't think we need to do 10 drops for a creator to feel the value of what it means to build on chain. And I actually think cutting the cohort size and funding, not size in terms of number of creators, but funding per cohort would be really beneficial. I'm a really big fan of fast feedback loops. And the longer we stretch out a cohort, the more the creators burn out, and the more the collectors burn out. And I think I learned this through like the seasons model with the Mint Podcast. The faster I can turn around a season, the more announcements and updates I can give that feel fresh and feel new. And if I can cut the cohort model by, let's say, 100K per cohort and show traditional creators that here's a great way to make money on chain, and we're going to do like 5 drops or like 4 drops together, maybe that's something that I've been thinking about, because definitely the reason why we had to extend is because funds were just not being spent the way they needed to be, and completions were occurring. So I think by the way, I think it's a finding the equilibrium between giving and taking, right? We give incentives at a certain rebate, right? As we all do. And the 35K collector pool is like our way of saying thank you to everybody that spent that much, and hopefully helps people break even as like the remaining delta of like that 15%, right? That they needed to break even on all the mints that they spent, or maybe even get them to a bit of profitability on that front. So to see that the amount of people that earn those badges that actually, because with every single announcement that we did in Discord, we said, if you collect X and Y and Z, then you'll qualify for X, Y, and Z badge, right? And we never told anybody that there was going to be a surprise in the end, but what we consistently heard throughout cohort 1 and cohort 2 is like, how are we going to get rewarded for what we're doing over here, right? Beyond the incentives that we're claiming. And for us, it's like, you're right. Like there needs to be a better way to do this. And this is us kind of like figuring this out in real time. So I think scaling back the amount of spend to bring it back, like what might be different for cohort 3, potentially scaling back the amount of budget that we allocate per creator and the time it takes to spend that budget might be an avenue that we consider, but we'll see.
Yeah, I think to echo one of your points there, it really just takes one good drop for a creator to feel the power of being on chain.
Mm-hmm.
If you can get them one drop where they make, more than an ETH, let's say a couple $1,000, that person's always going to have a very fond memory of their interaction in the space. And kind of counter to that, it's almost like we talk a lot about this a lot internally at Coop Records. It's like doing the 15th or 16th release for a new artist has very diminishing returns beyond a certain amount of time. Unless that, release is making them a crazy amount of money, they've basically established a relationship with the space. They have an expectation of it, but it doesn't drastically move the needle. And so I think one thing that we're thinking about as well is cutting back on the number of releases that we're doing per week, really making it clear that each release is going to get a large budget put behind it. It's going to be very impactful, and just making sure that every drop feels meaningful and that the importance of getting a drop feels significant, so that artists just don't feel like they can just drop whenever they want, but that their drops are something that needs to be earned. And if they are getting one, it's something to be kind of celebrated, because it's not something that you can just come across the street and just get any day of the week.
Yeah, I think like also having reward pools for milestones of like you do 10 drops or that artist releases 10 songs on chain, there's that bonus pool. I think the stat is like 98% of podcasts or something like that don't get to 20 episodes. So there could be like, you know, a pods native mechanism there that like if you publish 20 episodes on pods, then, you know, there's a rewards pool for all your collectors or something like that. So I think there is like it's rewarding retention over time, right? And I think that's the issue that we haven't necessarily solved here. And we've been seeing this for years now. It's like when we started doing bankless collectibles, started really hot, everything sold out, and then you started releasing these weekly, and you just saw lower and lower mint activity over time.
Yeah.
And we thought that was a pricing function. We thought it was people didn't care about as much, but it really is just fatigue of coming back week in, week out, every day, and minting that stuff. And maybe not getting that thing that you want in return.
Yeah,
so
for sure.
We still have a lot to learn here. Yeah.
To be clear, the fatigue is largely on the demand and the collecting side of things.
Right.
I think that we all probably have a similar experience where there's actually a surplus of supply out there of content that can be brought on chain and published on chain and be able to be collected. I think the challenge is not getting, at least for us, I can speak for ourselves, it's not necessarily in getting good content onto the network. It's about finding people who are willing to buy that content, whether it's through recurring rewards or retention and all those other things. So yeah, Chevy, I just want to, again, just +1 on the badges and extra reward pool. I think that will go a long way. And I think that you're doing a great job of just being really in tune with your audience and giving them things that they want to hear. And definitely something that we can learn from on our end as well.
Thanks, man. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it. So yeah, that's cohort 2.
Love it.
I feel like that's a good spot for us to wrap it up here. Any other topics we want to bring up that feel glaring and necessary to talk about?
Do we want to talk Matt Huang real quick? Huang?
I think that we should talk about it after we've all read the article. That's what I think.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
Waka Flocka's on Warpcast. Love that.
Waka Flocka's on Warpcast.
Yeah, any other quick hits?
Let's
You want to get in here?
I'm really loving the vibes right now on Farcaster Warpcast right now. I think the mini app thesis is really strong for all of us here, and we should be exploring what that looks like. Largely because these frames, one, you're going to get distribution on Farcaster. Right now, we have a database of over 1,000 users that we can notify directly, send them a push notification from pods to users on Warpcast about whatever we want. And we're seeing like decent conversion on it, especially if it's like an earning opportunity. And then with Coinbase Wallet, you know, with the upgrade that they're doing of building it as like a Farcaster client, you're going to get additional distribution out of your frame. So I think as a whole, even while the market's nuking, I think the vibes there are really great. And then I think for a consumer founder looking for distribution, it's starting to, for me at least, feel like the best opportunity right now. So I'm just really excited about where that goes over the next few months.
Nice. I agree. I love the little embed video. It's pretty cool.
Yeah. I mean, the playback stuff got a huge improvement, which is like the biggest friction for us on pods. But now people can open an episode, click play, and then swipe down and keep scrolling Warpcast. And like that UX is really ideal. And I actually told Dan Romero that on a call like 2 months ago. So I'm excited that they finally shipped that.
Nice.
I don't know if that was because of me, but yeah.
Because of you.
We'll take
because of you,
That's what they told me.
Thank you.
Here's the
Thank
guy.
you, your team, for listening to me.
The guy.
All right.
I think those are the big hits. What else are we seeing? What else? Circle IPO.
I don't know.
Undervalued, some of you guys said. All content will end up on chain. That was a good article. We should put that in the show notes. People missed that one. But I think that pretty much covers it.
I think so.
Love
All
it,
right,
guys.
Well, if you're still listening, thank you so much for listening to this episode of Not-a-Cartell, episode 14, I believe. As always, you can collect this episode at pods.media /not-a-cartell, where every episode is on-chain, collectible, and you can support us directly. Thank you so much for tuning in. We'll see you on-chain.